What's up, hockey fam? Mike the Oldest Goalie here. For my first vlog, I decided I wanted to cover a topic that was requested by a lot of people a long time ago, but I just didn't get to. So yeah, I'm going to do a review / comparison of my Warwick mask versus my Bauer mask. First thing before I get into the masks, this comparison really isn't fair. A lot like the sound from the intro clip, it's kind of like comparing a 93 Honda Civic to some souped up Detroit Muscle. It's just no comparison for a out-of-date helmet that was bought just to see if I could still play off of eBay for like maybe $100 or $150. Versus a mask that was custom made for my head that's basically pro spec. But when it came time when I was getting serious about it, I wanted something that I could be proud of, that I knew was going to protect me, and that maybe I got some compliments about every once in a while. I first wanted to go over my first mask. This is a Bauer Concept C2. When it came to me, it had about 4 coats of paint on it that I had to strip off. I primed it, painted it, and then applied a graphics kit just to get it presentable, to state that I was happy with. There's really nothing wrong with this mask. It is a composite shell. Relatively stiff, not bad. It does have a plastic back plate, which I put a GoPro sticker on. The straps that were on it were pretty crusty, so I bought a replacement kit. These are very thin, not as flexible as a nice set. Some of the padding on the inside was starting to get chewed up by the back plate. You can see that. For a first mask, can't complain, but once I put on the Warwick, any thoughts of this thing being comfortable just went out the window. This mask, if I wore it any longer than, say, 1 game, I would start to feel some pain and definite discomfort. That being said, it's not an overly heavy mask. The protection has been fine. I took quite a few headshots with it. I did wear a dangler with this helmet, not any kind of clavicle guard, only because the one that I had to start was really constrictive and I didn't like it. So wore this mask with the dangler and I felt what I thought was protected. The sight lines with the cat eye were fine. I did try a straight bar once and I did not like it at all, so that thing went away. As you can see, that cage is bent. Now when I first started playing, my glove hand was crap, so there were probably a lot of shots that I should have gotten a glove on that I took to the face, and maybe that was why I was bending cages so often, but that'd be about the only thing I'd have to complain about this helmet, was having to replace cages like every couple of weeks or so, maybe. At least every other month I seem to, have to buy a new cage. So yeah, like I said, it's a composite shell, really thin throughout, if you can see. Very thin shell all around, including the chin. So all in all, not a bad mask. It's still my backup mask. If anything were to happen to my Warwick, that would go in the bag and come with me. So yeah, on to the reason you guys are here. Here it is. It's a gorgeous mask. I'm absolutely in love with it. So when I decided that I wanted a new mask, I tried all sorts of other manufacturers like Bauer, CCM, Coveted, Vaughn, and a few others, but they were all just okay. I had just come from a mask that was okay. I wanted something that was made for my head, something that I would never have any questions about whether or not it was going to protect me, and that looked really awesome. And I'm lucky enough to live less than an hour away from Warwick Mask, so it was an easy decision. So first thing, let's talk about the paint job. I decided to go with the Warwick logo on the back. It was a really easy decision to want to advertise for a company that puts out a great product. The paint job was done by Marty LaValle. I was referred to him by Gary Warwick. Marty is an expert at painting the Ed Belfour design. And he actually had one on hand that day, and if you look at that video, you'll see that I take a look at it and was pretty impressed. Impressed with him enough to get a hold of him when it was time to get this thing painted. Now my first idea for paint was an idea that was overly complex. It would have been much better for a wrap, but I didn't want to do a wrap. I wanted a paint job. And my plan B was, my best hockey memory of my entire life is the Wings Cup in '97, and Mike Vernon was their goalie. Always loved the look of his helmet, and the choice to go with black and white was really easy because my pads are black and white and it would match any beer league team I play for. Marty did a great job on this helmet. I get compliments on it all the time. He's local to southeastern Michigan. I believe he lives near Clarkston. I can't remember the city that he's in, but I've got his email address down in the description, so if you're looking for a mask painter, get a hold of him. So as far as protection with the Warwick, it's 2 layers of carbon fiber on the inside. There's Kevlar reinforcement and Anegra throughout the shell. They vacuum seal it to get a really light product that's very strong, very rigid, very protecting. I can barely move that one, so. And it's also a carbon fiber backplate. So as far as comfort goes with this mask, the padding on the inside was all trimmed out to my face, to my head, so it fits perfect. I splurged for the D3O padding on the inside. It goes across the front and up the top. If you don't know about the D3O foam, look it up. It's amazing stuff. I'm pretty much spoiled. I don't think I'll ever be able to buy a mask off the shelf from now on. The cage that I selected, this is a titanium cage. It has an extra bar that comes up here to protect the point on a mask that normally gets bent. I was a bit concerned about sight lines because of the extra bars, but I've never had an issue with not being able to see a puck at my feet or, when I look down. So going with the titanium cage makes it overall lighter, and honestly, the Bauer mask and the Warwick, they weigh about the same. I can't really notice a difference. I don't have a really accurate scale to weigh these, unfortunately, so sorry about that. But it's really amazing that when you compare the thickness of the shell on these, and especially in the chin, it's really amazing that they weigh the same. That vacuum process that they do definitely gets a lot of the resin out and makes it super stiff, super strong, and super light. As far as mobility with this helmet, since I've been wearing it, I've never put a dangler on it, but I did switch to that Kova neck guard. So I've never had any issues with the chin interfering with my chest protector. I can move side to side, no problem, up, down. That's one of the points that Gary went over when we were selecting which shell I was going to go for, was how the lines and the chin would interfere with the chest protector. So that was something we looked at. Now I ended up going with a Nabokov shell. I like these ridges being a little bit more pronounced. There were a couple that I tried that were more rounded, and I just like the look of those ridges for some reason. Now as far as cost, a custom Warwick mask starts at $1,050, and what you get with that is a mask with a solid color. You get the padding that's customized to your face. You get a stainless steel cage, and you get a custom helmet bag that has your name, and you have a choice of colors in the logo, which is a nice perk. As far as things that you have choices on, I believe the straps you can either get black or white, and then I believe the base model comes with the plastic snaps. They do have the metal ones that you can get painted, but I believe that's an additional charge. The D3O foam was an option too, and obviously going with a titanium cage was a bit more too, because those are not cheap. So would I pay that price again? Yes, without question. I do not think I could ever wear a mask off the shelf again, having wore this thing. I could literally wear this thing all day long and not feel any discomfort. It's perfectly balanced. I throw a GoPro on the side of this thing and I never really notice, the mask being heavy or being uncomfortable. Now you're probably thinking, how does he mount the camera? Is he really gonna put adhesive on that paint job? No, absolutely not. The mount that I came up with goes right under the ear hole, and it's right here. It's an aluminum GoPro mount that threads onto a 1/4-20 machine screw that has a rounded head, so that in the ear hole it doesn't touch me at all, no problems. These 2 washers are just for space, so that the threads can go all the way down and tighten. And then it just sits on these rubber washers with a rubber O-ring in the center, so that nothing touches the paint, because I would not want to damage that paint job. Even though Marty says it'll stand up to it, no problem, I don't really want to take that risk. So overall, like I said, I have no real problems with the Bauer mask. This mask is just head and shoulders above it. I do not have a single complaint about this mask. I love it. I would sleep in it if my wife wouldn't get angry. And the experience going to Warwick, Gary was great. We could have probably gotten through everything that we needed to in about 10 to 20 minutes, but I wound up spending, I think, over 4 hours there. There's so much hockey history in that building. Gary has so much knowledge, and he's a great guy too. Without me asking, he decided just to adjust the cage on my Bauer mask that I had at the time. You know, at that point, he didn't even know if I was going to be buying a mask from him. He's just a good guy and didn't want to see me out there, you know, not being able to see. So if you're lucky enough to live in the Metro Detroit area and you're looking for a mask, I would highly recommend Warwick. I know when I went through the start of the process, they had me take pictures of my head from the front, from the side. I took a couple measurements and that got the ball rolling. If you don't live in the area, I know they could still build you a mask. I just don't know how it would work with the customization of the foam. So there you have it. There's my review / comparison of my Warwick mask to my Bauer mask. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you liked this video, go ahead and click like and subscribe. And if you want to know when I put out new videos, click that notification bell. Hope everybody has a great week, and I'll see you on the ice.